Hey y'all, welcome to Keys to the Streets. I'm your host Key, and for the next half hour, we'll discuss all things related to the culture, from business to arts on the local and global front. I also have some guest interviews and sprinkle in a little music. Feel free to tweet or DM me any questions or feedback at airless, that's HEIR_LESS. Today I have Tim on with me. Tim, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What's up, guys? My name's Tim Wayne. I go by Tim Wayne on Twitter and Instagram. I'm the co-host of the Us on Everything podcast, as well as the He Said, She Said podcast. But I'm an Austin native, born and raised, and I just wanted to hop on. You gave me a call, so I'm here. Let's go.
Thank you so much for coming on today. We're just going to talk about the scene in Austin and what's going on in our world. So I guess we can start with just what's popping, what's dropping in the music scene. Austin has really been trying to recover from, COVID-19. And with us being that live music capital of the world, I think we were hit really hard in trying to pivot into what it was going to look like post-COVID. And we thought we'd be in post-COVID now, but that's still not the case. But we still are now practicing different safety measures and things like that so that we can slowly and surely open back up. And it's good to see Black artists still getting that shine and still getting to perform and things like that. We had Joshua Banbury here, who's a jazz vocalist and librettist from Austin, who's gaining international attention in his work in opera, folk, music, and jazz. I know you said you weren't really familiar with him, right?
I'm not really familiar, but that's really dope to hear that they're getting some international attention. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, absolutely. He was here at the Victory Grill on the 28th, and I got a chance to speak with him. And he was very just direct in the need for having Black spaces. And so he felt it was an honor to be able to perform at the Victory Grill. Like, what was it? Tina Turner, BB King, all performed there. Yeah. So it's been cool to see them renovate it. Have you seen the new, the renovations and everything in there?
I haven't been to Victory Grill since COVID. So I was in there around February of 2020. So if they've done any renovations, I unfortunately have not been able to see them, of course, because we've been in the house for most of the part. So I haven't been able to get out there like I want to.
Yeah, I've been just very careful about the events and things that I've been going to, but his was very well received. He partnered with Encore, which is the wife and husband, Brandon and Tiffany Thornton, who's been putting on events for a while, and they have a good marketing mix of just what they offer. And so they partnered to bring him down, and he performed here. And then he has another performance at the Lincoln Center in New York. With the Philharmonic Orchestra and the National Black Theater.
Okay.
I was like, right? I'm like, I just got familiar with them after hearing about his concert coming down here, but then seeing all the work he's done, and he's really young.
Okay. How old is he?
He's 26.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's young. It sounds like he's gonna be around for a while.
Absolutely, because for a jazz vocalist, it's not necessarily like rap where they want to put an age on it. With jazz, you usually get better as you get older. So,
and you can continue to make money until you go. You know what I mean? It's not too many people out here in the rap game other than Snoop that's making moves.
Right? But if you're not able to catch him at the New York Philharmonic, because why would you? We're in Texas. He will be back. Brandon did mention that they will have some partnering events in the future. So he will definitely be back to just grace the stages with his hometown again.
Okay. That's awesome.
And we had Westside Boogie. Are you familiar with Westside Boogie?
I know of him. I've heard of him, but I don't actually know a lot of his music.
I got familiar with his music back a few years back when he was on Shade 45. And I just liked his style. He has a very different style. It's like a conscious style mixed with like a LA Bay Area like laid back style, but he just has a very good variety. So I would compare him to maybe like JID, like JID, and a little bit of Larry June.
Oh, I like Larry June. Larry
Yeah.
June got man. Larry June. Larry June got the tones, man.
Right. He was here. So Westside Boogie was here at Come and Take It Live.
Okay.
And actually, Larry June was here, I think, back in October. So
I've heard about Larry June being here recently.
It's really cool to see Austin bring Black artists here. I mean, of course, you want to support the local scene and the Austin-based artists, but so often are we overlooked when tours come down. They're going to hit Houston, they're going to hit Dallas, but very rarely do they hit Austin. So it's good to see us getting those looks.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're starting to get some major looks as well. I mean, it's not always about the big artists too, right? Like up and comers. I mean, that was at the time. I know we're gonna go into this topic later on, but like I met SZA at a Kendrick Lamar concert. Mm-hmm. This was Kendrick Lamar like blew up, and she was just like off to the side. And then I saw her a year later at South by Southwest. So. Yeah. It's cool to see it, man. It's cool to see it.
Yes, definitely. And of course, we had the legend here at Soho Lounge. We had Bun B performing this past weekend. As always, he puts on a solid show, and I don't know how he does it all because he's a seasoned vet now, and he's got his professoring on at Rice. He teaches there in hip hop and I think theology. So it's cool to see him still have that appeal. Not a lot of older artists have that. I think honestly, outside of Snoop and Ice Cube, they can, still be taken seriously as hardcore, older artists and still be able to, move into those different lanes.
Yeah. Bun B hasn't fallen off at all. And if you sit down and you kind of listen to him, he was on the I Am Athlete podcast earlier this week. If you listen to him, man, he sounds like, he's still got it. Like he's still competitive. He says that basically the only people that he really feels that he can compete with are the greats, and so that's. I love all of that. So I'm really glad to see him still moving around. I'm really glad to see him, still getting out here, throwing out verses, doing shows, and he's active. Like he's not, he's just not a retired rapper,
Right.
Now professor. He's still actively rapping. He's still doing shows and things. So anytime a Bun B shows up, I'm always down to go and see it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned South by earlier, but speaking of South by, it's right around the corner. It's March 11th through 20th. So you got to assemble your crew. Is your crew assembled? Is your plan? Are you planning accordingly, or are you not going to be in the streets?
So like this year, I'm not going to be in the mix. Oh, but I will to be completely honest with you, I don't have a South by Southwest crew. I've always rolled by myself. So that's how I got to see Prince. That's how I got to see Beyonce. That's how I got to see a number of celebrities and a number of like dope artists. It's just by myself. I never go with a group of people because they never move like I move. Like,
you're a South by snob.
What?
I'm gonna go solo. So you don't go. Do you go for the experience?
Yeah, I go for the experience. That's why I go by myself.
I usually work it. So I've always worked South by since college. So I'm really excited now to be able to go from like a, bystander and not really be involved.
Right.
I do miss the days when you didn't have to have like a schedule and a team RSVPing to 70 things a day to see what you might be able to get into.
The group chat's gonna go off. Like, don't get it twisted. The links are gonna be dropped. You know what I'm saying? Like the group chats will be active, but I'm not going with y'all. I'm going by myself.
I feel that.
I'm paying $20 a park. I'm parking there all day. I'm getting there early. I'm getting free food, and I'm leaving at 4 a.m.
Oh my gosh!
So if that makes me a South by Southwest snob, then I guess I'm a South by Southwest.
You are definitely the South by Southwest Grinch. But anyways, There are a lot of Austin-based artists that are announcing that they're South by Southwest official. You know, historically, a lot of Black artists weren't really getting that shine. And so,
unofficial. Yeah.
Right. It's cool to see them being announced as official artists. Kid Jones, Teddy the Legacy, Jay Soulja is an official performer and presenter as he has his, I think it's Smokeout that he'll be doing. That'll be South by official. David Shabani and Mobley. So, unfortunately, but unfortunately, it's all men. Hopefully, we're going to get some women in the mix. I haven't really seen any of those announcements just yet. But I'll definitely,
we still got a couple weeks, so, never know. We still never know. It's dope to see, again, because a lot of my friends that are, that they are artists, like Rudy DeVino is one that is still very active. A lot of the time, if I wanted to see him during South by, it was like an unofficial event. So to hear that we are now getting our local talent on the bigger stages which is supposed to be, that's what South by is about. That brings a lot of joy to me just to see, our Black artists getting some love out there.
Absolutely. Shout out to him.
Yeah, that's my guy.
And as we go into our break, of course, we got to grace you with an Austin-based artist, Anastasia Hara with Big Tuna, up next.
I could never comprehend. I could never comprehend little ponds, how you swim, big tuna. I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on, down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Real fish, big facts. Little fishy might find that I don't fit in, cause I went and got big fat. Eating good in the waters where the sharks get it in. About to swing out wide in the intersection. Glide by, knocking pictures off the wall. Big tuna roam around where she like it, get interested. Not about to miss a meal, not at all. I could never comprehend little ponds, how you swim, big tuna. I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on, down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Flags, big, big energy. Big tuna flags, big, big energy. Big tuna flags, big, big energy. Big, big, big energy. Hey, big tuna. Not this shit in the can. No, no. Uncaught, unbound. Out here living free. About to throw this thing rolling off in the sea. Real fish, big facts. Little fishy finna hear all about where I've been. Let the fishy stay, Big Mac. Yeah, cause I'm down to come around just to f*** them up again. About to swing out wide in the intersection. Glide by, knocking pictures off the wall. Big tuna roam around where she like, looking for permission. Big tuna finna bounce and see it all. I could never comprehend little ponds, how you swim, big tuna. I'm infatuated with the life. I belong in the pond where the whales get it on, down deep on the floor, waiting for my time. Flags, big, big energy. Big tuna flags, big, big energy. Big tuna flags, big, big energy. Big, big, big energy. Never comprehend little ponds. I'm infatuated with the light.
Friday, February 4th is the Houston versus Austin Poetry Jam at the Victory Grill. Once again, Encore is bringing more events that they're hosting, and they'll have that one, and then followed up on Saturday, they have Vinyasa at Black Swan Yoga. You know Vinyasa, Tim?
I can't say that I'm too familiar.
No, I'm just messing with you, Tim. I had to get you back for that one.
That's
Who's
not
Vinyasa?
a problem.
But for any events, you can always check out Soul City Encore Events, and shout out to DJ Hella Yella and his Yella Collective team as they host several events weekly.
Legendary Hella Yella, man. It's good to see him out there working.
Absolutely. So, the business front. What's happening in business? Did you hear about Shaq in the Sacramento Kings?
Yes, I actually thought that was pretty interesting that he would sell at this time. I mean, the NBA is doing really, really well, so for him to sell, his portion of the team was kind of an eye raiser.
Absolutely. So for a little bit of a backstory, Shaq sold his Sacramento Kings stake. He was a minority owner, and he had to sell based off NBA rules for the new venture that he is going into. And what might that be, you ask? What is it, Tim?
It's online gambling.
Absolutely. It's WinBet. So he is partnering with the Wyndham Corporation, who does the Wyndham casinos and things like that, for an online betting venture. And I mean, obviously, he can't have stake in an NBA team if he's going to be venturing into that. Yeah, but absolutely. But I've always been told, you don't leave your Fasho, for some more. So I'm just, Shaq is a businessman, and
Shaq is one of the best businessmen in NBA history. And at the end of his long and lovely life that he's had, we're gonna all look back and be like, okay, yeah, he's made some pretty dope moves.
Absolutely. And so when he first bought into the Sacramento Kings, it was valued at $534 million. Now that he has walked away from it, it's now valued at almost double that. So that places it valued at around $1 billion. Yep. So if Shaq is walking away from that, I can't imagine what he stands to make with WinBet.
Well, what people need to understand, and there's a bunch of people that don't necessarily like online betting and online gambling and daily fantasy sports. It's basically here to stay. It was taboo a couple of years ago. There's so much money being made. These states are slowly but surely going to start, allowing these daily bets and things to happen. So if he's leaving, then he must have some type of foresight to understand what's about to happen.
Absolutely. And I first got wind of online betting, I think it was sometime last year when they were talking about Jay-Z buying into it. And so I think he might have went into it partnered with MGM.
Right.
But it's crazy like how they're moving into these different ventures and the money that they stand to make with that. And if Jay-Z is already considered a billionaire, like that's bread, that's cash.
Yeah. Like if you own stock in any of these online betting companies, that New York just recently lifted their or has allowed people to do online betting through apps and phones and things of that nature. So it's just eventually it's inevitable. You're not going to be able to fight it. It's going to happen. It's coming. It might take a little time. We live in Texas. You know how things are in Texas. Very slow. But it's going to happen eventually. And I think, and we used to make fun of Shaq, but now that I look back and he's told these stories about his ventures with these different businesses, I won't be laughing anytime soon.
Right? Because I mean, honestly, the only thing because he was on the Icy Hot commercials, and then he had the shoes that was at Payless. But
so he had the shoes that was at Payless. Do you know the story behind that?
No, I thought he was trying to make it, I guess a shoe that was more reasonably priced.
Right, that's exactly right. He was at a game. He was playing for the Orlando Magic. I know this is going off topic, but I gotta get this story out. After he quit the Reebok deal, he gave the $45 million back and made Shaq shoes, and they're in Walmart. That's his favorite place to shop is Walmart. And a lot of the shoes that we make fun of, the reason why they look like these Jordans and Air Force Ones is because Nike and Shaq partnered. So a lot of those shoes were designed by Nike.
Wow, look at you with the fun fact today. Thank you, Tim.
Hey, sorry.
That's why you're here. I appreciate you, man. Now, as we're continuing talking about sports and leaving you for show for some more, Odell Beckham Jr. did necessarily get some more in his case. Did you hear about his case with the whole Bitcoin?
Of course I heard about it. Now, I'm not an Odell Beckham fan. As I don't know if your audience knows about you being a diehard Eagles fan. I am a Cowboys fan. So my love for Odell Beckham is not always there, but he's a damn good player. He's still a good player. And he is on the way to the Super Bowl. So shout out to the Rams for doing their thing. But the investment that he's made with this money, we have to stop acting like Odell Beckham don't got it already.
Right. But for context, on November 12th, Odell Beckham signed a deal with the Rams worth $750,000. Right. He announced that he would take that in Bitcoin. At that time, Bitcoin was worth $64,293. Yep. Today, it's worth $35,400.
Right. But it's not about the short, it's about the long term. If he's invested $750,000 in it, well, one, again, that's a drop in the bucket for Odell Beckham. He's got over $200 million. He's going to be okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm on the other side of things.
Well, so why would you
bring me my money? You said, why would I what?
Why would you be on the other side?
Because I want my money and I want it in USD and US dollars. If I choose to buy Bitcoin, that's one thing. Okay. But I just think Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I'm an auntie now. I'm old school. I'm a late adopter now. And I'm just like, it's still too volatile for me.
Right.
Just put my money in my hand.
Right. Okay. So if you think about the average American salary versus Odell Beckham, who is in the 1% of Americans in the world, in America that have this obscene amount of money, it's really like going on a vacation or buying a home. It's not like this isn't going to hurt him. He was already paid from the Browns, so he took a league minimum contract. Okay, the Browns paid the rest of his contract out, which I think was around $50 million. So he still got money.
Right, but my whole perspective is, what are the implications for the masses? A lot of times he's looked at, these athletes are looked at as influencers. Right. And so people who may not have a lot of information are following their moves. Right. And so, I would say maybe 2-3 years ago, not even that long ago, maybe last year was really when everybody went crypto crazy. And so I think with that, people put a lot of money in it. And I'm seeing people on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, like, what's happening with Bitcoin right now? So, I mean, again, like you said, it's more of the long game, but that's a pretty big dip from now, from November to now. That's essentially almost half.
Yeah, I mean it is, but I mean, you can have somebody, some big influencer, say something today on Twitter, and then it will boom. True. Or some deal will go through, some big tech deal will go through, and it'll boom. So it is a dangerous game, and you do have to learn and do some research, guys, if you are looking to invest into cryptocurrency. But I would, I think it's still pretty dope for him to take the risk.
Absolutely. I agree. I just think, So I think as we need to educate ourselves more on things like this. We don't need to always be late adopters. When we have the money, I think that's what influencers are for. Y'all can take that risk and still live. The everyday people may not be able to take that. And so that's how you use your privilege and your power to be able to have access to information and to get rid of, those barriers and that gatekeeping. So of course it's investing. You don't always, it's a long game. You may not be able to make your money in a week or something like that, or in a month, but averaging out in long term, you usually come out on that positive side.
Right. Most definitely.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we hope y'all support some of these small businesses and artists that we mentioned. We appreciate it, and we will continue to support you, and we'll be signing off. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Keys to the Streets. And for any feedback or questions, hit me up on Twitter or IG at HEIR_LESS. Tim, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tim Wayne.